S DeConinck, and I'm applying to the MPS program. This is part of my video submission for the application. I recently was speaking to a relative of mine who works as a chaplain, and it really sparked my interest in the field. She became a chaplain later in life, did a lot of her education while she had a full-time job, and then she went into to work as a chaplain in a hospital. And her work sounds so fascinating to me. She's a very kind person, but I took that and it gave me great interest in this program of doing the MPS. In terms of my religious background, I grew up in the United Church until I was about 10 years old, but then I didn't go back to the church till I was about 30 years old. But since then, I belong to a United Church in Weston called Central United, and absolutely love that experience and enjoy the congregation so much. It gives me a lot of joy being a member of that church. In terms of my other experiences that have led to here, I'd say I have to start with grade 2. I had a friend who had a brother who was considered a bully, and my friend used to get labeled, as a bully, even though they were not at all. They were very, very sweet person. But one recess I remember playing, we were roughhousing and running around, and I ran into the wall by mistake and chipped my tooth, and I guess I was crying. And the teacher immediately came and said, assumed that this friend had hurt me somehow and marched him down to the principal's office, and he got into all sorts of trouble. And I was trying to explain, that he had nothing to do with it. But at that time I didn't have the power to make any difference in the situation. So I've always taken that with me as something to learn from. My falsely accused friend in grade 2 really has never left my memory, and it led to my interest, I think, in psychology, and I studied criminology, which is really the most extreme example in Canada of labeling somebody and then punishing them, and that was really fascinating to study when I was younger. But I've also worked with different patient populations, and I found that especially when I worked with the brain injured adults, those patients had a really huge change from before their injury till after their injury, with a lot of suffering, pain, a lot of relearning how to do everyday tasks. And it seems on the surface that their quality of life would be quite low. But when I was working with them, trying to come up with programs, trying to come up with things that would interest them, spark their challenge them in interesting ways, I realized right away that they could have a very beautiful life if you can just find the right thing for them that would produce a calm for them and challenge them in an interesting way. And I've really found that really profound with that patient population. And I think that it's applicable to many different situations and places where people have difficulty. And if you could learn how to create a calm or figure out what would kind of spark somebody's interest, I think that you could really help people tremendously. And so I think it's an interest in the academic side of the program. Learning more about the Bible and theology and history would be fascinating to me, combined with learning more the practical counseling side is what really is of interest to me in this program. So thank you very much.